Call the meeting to order at 9 o'clock.
Roll call. Ben Hupp.
Here.
Dan Van Buren.
Here.
Jeff Corpenny's absent. Okay.
We're here to discuss some insurance premiums and questions
It's
with
cold in
Megan.
here. I thought I had it on heat.
Well, thank you guys for taking a couple minutes to meet with me this morning. I really just wanted to come out, talk to you a little bit about the health insurance renewal, let you know what the options are for the township, and just kind of go from there, see what you guys think. So I'm going to back up a little bit and talk real quick about OPEC HC. I don't know how much you guys really care to hear about this, but the healthcare cooperative began, well, we've been working on it for a couple years, but it began July 1st, 2014. And that's when we started transitioning smaller public entities into OPEC HC, which is a big group of over 160 public entities in Ohio. It makes up over 3,200 employee lives are insured through it. So there's a couple of advantages to being a part of a jointly self-insured program like OPEC HC. One is the 3.3% market share tax that you'd have to pay on a fully insured plan through the Affordable Care Act. You're exempt from that. You're also exempt from the 1.4% premium tax to the state of Ohio that all fully insured groups have to pay. And then we also know that people that buy insurance jointly or self-funded save about 5% administratively. So we know long-term, this is definitely the best way to purchase health insurance. It's going to save money long-term. Now, after saying that, after July 1st, 2014, all the way until about May of 2015, all of the claims that our group was incurring were really in line with the premium that we were collecting. So it made sense. There were no red flags. Everything seemed to be working well. Now, May of 2015, May, June, July, and August, we noticed an uptick in claims. So the claims started increasing. Long story short, we have a $3 million deficit for our cooperative, and by the end of the year, if we continue down this path, which that's the thing, we don't know if this is kind of the direction that the claims are headed, or if this is just a bad couple months. We had some fluke claims in there that are gone, and it's not something that we need to worry about necessarily. So we just don't know yet. So what it comes down to is there are basically, let me see in here, there's 5 options for the township. So I'm going to just kind of take a minute and go through all of those different options with you. The first page, this shows your current plan that you guys have through OPEC HC. You have the $3,000 deductible for single, $6,000 for family. Everything after that's covered at 100%. And then, of course, you have these office visit copays for the primary care physicians, $30, the specialist is $60, emergency rooms $300, urgent care $75, and then your prescription drug card benefits all the way at the bottom, $10, $25, or $40. Now, you guys have set up a funding account, so and the way that this funding account works, I'll kind of explain this to you so you know. The way the funding plan works is, let's say you have your knee replaced. What's going to happen is you're going to get a bill for $3,000. You could send that to OPEC, and OPEC would send you a check for $3,000 out of the township's funding account. Okay, so we have that set up. That's how it's been for a couple of years. Now, I don't think you guys have used any of it. That'll be back here. We'll kind of go through that and see the utilization. But so we can play with that. If that's something you guys don't want to have available anymore, we can get rid of that exposure. You don't have to pay the admin fees that you're paying today if you're not going to use it. So right now, the funding plan is out here in the margin here, and everything that is highlighted in yellow is what's eligible for funding. So you could send us your invoice for $3,000. The township would pay that out of the funding account. The co-pays we could fund down to $10. So we'll talk a little bit more about that in a second, but this is currently how the benefits work for the township. The next page shows your utilization through the funding account. For 2014 and 2015, there have been 0 claims. So nobody's using the funding account. It's available if you want to use it, or you guys could say, you know what, we're just going to keep the level of benefits that we have and it's not eligible for funding. We can get rid of the funding account. you wouldn't have to pay your admin fees that you pay each month for it. So that's a decision you guys can make. Since you haven't used it, I don't know if it's something you want to keep in place.
I've always just paid it, never.
Right. Now how's that? We get a receipt and send that in, right?
Yeah,
Because I told them about that.
exactly.
And I had a kid, we take to the doctor. I haven't had a kid, but I had a kid, we take him to the doctor,
Sure.
all that kind of stuff, whatever.
Yeah.
Had a trip to the emergency room and all that. But they said you coming back, I never said anything again, they said you coming back take that a year.
Yeah, we'll go back a year after the date of service. Good
Okay.
point. So, anytime you're going to the doctor, you're going to have to pay your copay. You'll pay your $30 at the primary care physician or $60 at the specialist. But if you send us the receipt for that copay, we'll send you the money back out of the funding plan.
No, like the emergency room, that's $300.
Right.
Do they cover that?
Yes. Well, depends on how it's covered, how it's coded. The copay, no, that's not covered. So if it's a $300 copay, the township's not funding it. It's not down here listed as a separate line item. Now, if it was something that went towards your deductible,
Okay.
yes.
Okay.
Okay, so anytime you use your insurance, you'll get an explanation of benefits in the mail that says, all right, we went to the emergency room and you paid a $300 copay. All right, that's not eligible for funding, but we went to the emergency room and you owe $500 towards your deductible.
Closer.
Send it to our office. You can get reimbursed through the
Do
funding
these
account.
keep growing or do they just stay static
Whatever's,
each year?
whatever's left in the account is the township's money. So,
How much do we put in that every year?
you know what? I'll have to double check. I don't know how much you guys have. Do you have
I
a?
have no idea.
I
Remember
want to
we
say
talked
we
about it.
started about $3,000.
I think
That's
that's
just
what
off
it
the top of
was.
my head,
Yeah.
but I think it was $3,000 that we started with. So you guys haven't used any in the last 2 years. So chances are you probably have $3,000 sitting in there.
And can we just, if we decided to, can we take that out?
Yeah, absolutely. That's the township's money.
Gotcha.
Whatever you guys want to do with it.
Gotcha.
If you decide to do away with the funding, we'll write you a check for any of that money you put in there. So,
I guess the question is, does it just
Yep.
keep compounding
Just-
year after year after year and
yeah,
adding to each other?
and the way that it would work is, let's say you guys wanted to keep it in place and you already have $3,000 in it, we wouldn't ask you to put more money in it.
Yeah.
You're good with $3,000.
Yeah, I guess
So-
that's where the
Yeah,
leads
so it
to.
rolls over.
Yeah,
it rolls
sure,
over
that's
each
what I
year.
meant.
Yep, absolutely.
But we don't keep adding to that fund.
No, unless you wanted to.
What happens if we used all of it?
If you use all of it, the way that it works is, let's say in January, let's say you used $100. Somebody used $100 out of the account. We'll send you an invoice that says, hey, you used $100 out of your account. To bring it back up to $3,000, send us $100. So you always have that $3,000 amount in there. So that's how it typically works. Now, it's really flexible. So if you guys want to set it up differently, that's fine with us too.
See, Mark was telling me at Harrison Township, they got like a debit card or something, that they use it for their co-pays and stuff.
Yeah. You could do that. We don't like to use the debit cards because 9 times out of 10, the debit cards get used for something that is not, it could be a qualified
Yeah.
expense, but it's not a deductible expense, so they never match. We end up doing audits and it's
Right,
an
right.
extra headache. Plus it's an extra $5 or something, $5 to $6 per person per month. So, it works pretty well this way. When you send us the EOB, you can mail it to us, you can fax it, email it, whatever, and we just send you a check.
I kind of got some experience with some of this stuff
Yeah.
from the city. I used to work for the city and they
Okay.
were self-funded, so I
Okay.
have some
Got it.
idea
Okay.
about how it works,
Perfect.
but I wasn't sure all
Yep.
the other details
Yep.
of how it worked.
So you can send us an invoice or a bill, you can send us a receipt, that's fine. We like the explanation of benefits best because then we can turn around. If we have the EOB in hand, we can just write the check then and there. If we get a bill, we may have to make a call, and so it takes us a little bit longer, but either way, whatever you can send is totally fine. We'll pay based off of that. Okay, now the next page. This is a copy of your actual renewal. This is the page that I'm going to kind of go through each piece with you guys because there's 5 options for the township. Your current plan is right here all the way on the left. You have that $3,000 deductible that we talked about. Everything's covered 100% afterwards. And here are the rates down at the bottom. Depends on how you're covered. Employee only, employee and spouse, employee and children, or family. The renewal plan, if you just renewed as is, didn't make any changes to the plan, is the next column. And then you've got 3 options. You can do options 1, 2, or 3, and that is increasing your deductible either to $3,500, $4,000, or $4,500. Everything else stays the same, so your copays wouldn't change. Does that make sense? The rates are at the same. Now, flip to the next page for me real quick, because this page is an option that is not very well explained on the renewal page.
That air is cold.
Figure that thing out. I don't know. See if you can figure it
Did
out.
we break it already?
No, I don't know.
Wow.
Well, you tried it.
No. I don't know.
I think you better off turning it off.
Maybe on air conditioning.
I tried to turn it off.
Oh, that's awesome. That's funny. So on this sheet, I included this option. This is your last option. You can do a 12.5% increase, which is better than renewing as is. All I did was I took your current rates, I added 12.5%. So it comes out to $4,914.10 a month. And this is for 3 people. So I know we've got one person coming off, but it comes
Possibly.
Okay.
We haven't made that decision yet.
Okay, so we've got $4,914.10 in your premium, and then this option, actually, you pay off your portion of the township's deficit. Remember how I mentioned we're looking at a $6 to $7 million deficit? We broke it down per person that was insured. So everybody that's a part of OPEC HC has to pay $167 a month or $2,000 a year for their portion of the deficit. So this option is if you want to go ahead and pay off the township's portion of the deficit in 1 year instead of, paying your renewal. For you guys, it actually works out better to do this option than renewing as is. So if I were you, I would just cross that out. Don't renew as is. It's more money anyways.
You're talking about the 5415.
Yeah. The 5460. 5460.11. That option.
Oh, okay, you're on renewal.
Does
Okay.
not make any sense.
Yeah, you're not, I
Cross
thought
it
you were
out.
in the yellow part.
Yeah,
over here.
the
Okay.
yellow part, 5415, I'm sorry, you're right. That's what I'm saying. This option wouldn't change any of your benefits. For 2016, this line item amount of $501 falls off after 2016, so you pay that each month. You'll have your premium on your invoice of $4914.10, an extra line item for your portion of the deficit, which is $501. And then after 2016, this goes away, and you're only paying based off of your $4914 number.
Okay, so I guess what you're explaining is
Mm-hmm.
they're going to pay $501 a month every month next year.
Right.
And then it goes back to the $4914.
Right.
If there aren't any claims.
If there's
that-
no
doesn't increase it.
increase 2017, yeah.
Yeah, if the deficit disappears.
Right.
But if there's more deficit, then it's going to go up so much.
If there's more deficit, you'll have the same options.
Oh, okay.
So we don't know. Maybe you'll have the same options. I don't know if we'll do
Right.
this part again, but. So, long story short, cross out renewal. That's silly. I would say you guys are crazy for that one. Now, if you look over here, the total annual cost for 2016, you can save a little bit of money by doing any of these options, really. Options 1, 2, or 3. Now, I included here the 2017 option. I include the 2017 annual cost if you see a 10% increase. I have no idea what the increase is going to be. 10% is just a number I literally picked out of the sky. So if you add 10% onto all of these premiums, that's what your renewal number comes out to for 2017. So you're actually ahead with this deficit recovery option. You're ahead of the renewal options 1 and options 2 after the second year. So really, if you're just looking at the premium, look at this green line. If you're just looking at the premium, I think it comes down to 2 options for the township. Either this deficit recovery or option 3.
So you're just guessing this could go up another 10%?
Yeah, if it goes up 20%, you're saving even more. Because we're adding that number on 4914 instead of whatever that increase is in 2017.
So
Does
if
that
you
make
look-
sense?
No. So if you look at a total of 16 and 17 with the 12.5 and 10%, so it's going to go up 22.5% within 2 years?
I totally picked I picked 10% out of the sky. I
But it's
have
gonna go
no
up. It's
idea.
not.
It's gonna go up.
You know.
I would assume it would go up. It's safe to say
That's
that.
yeah, that's a realistic number.
Yeah.
Sure.
If you're looking at 12% this year,
Yeah.
10% probably feasible.
I just picked 10 because the numbers were easier to come up with, honestly, for my spreadsheet. I don't know what it's gonna be. But if it is 10, you know, I think premium wise, we either need to make a tweak to the benefits, do option 3, or we need to look at that 12.5% option.
Is option 3, does it include the deficit recovery?
In the rates, yes. All of these options are in the rates. The 12.5% option is the only one that has it as a separate line item. on top.
That means like you're going to collect that up front, isn't that what you're talking
Yeah,
about?
instead of spreading it
Instead
out
of
over more
spreading it
time.
out, right.
Exactly.
What?
We're
Exactly.
paying this now?
Yes,
Okay.
that's the current. The 436809 is our current.
A person.
No, for the township.
For the month, yeah.
Oh,
For the month.
month.
That's our bill for the month, for everybody.
Not to jump off this, here's a question.
Yeah.
Just my opinion. We're just paying way too much every year for
Yeah.
insurance. You know how it is. And there's probably people dropping off like crazy.
There are, unfortunately, everybody's budget is not increasing 12.5%
Sure.
or 25%, you know? So, yeah, I mean, we've heard it.
You know, we've had you guys shop around for us.
Yeah.
I mean, is this even an option to shop around and find something that's, crazy? And just
No,
lot
good
cheaper.
question. That's why I'm here, because I really wanted to kind of go through these different options. But the healthcare cooperative, you can get out. So if you guys decided this is something you didn't want to do anymore, there's a penalty though. It's 3 months.
this we're pay like at 20. We talked about this, right?
Yeah.
We pay like at 20,000
Yeah,
or 26,000.
26,000 if we
Right.
pull out.
So, I mean, there are things that it would be less than paying a full year's premium. I mean, but still, you'd be paying something for nothing,
Nothing,
okay.
basically.
All right, if they do away with
So-
it,
Why are they charging us for doing away with it then?
Everybody that joined the cooperative is in a 3-year commitment because we don't want people hopping in and out. It's supposed to be a long-term thing. It's not a, 1 year you guys could save money, so let's go here, which is another thing. I'm so used to coming out and working with all these public entities and saying, here's your renewal, fill out these applications, let me shop the market. In this case, the claims are the claims, and the premiums are the premiums, and we have a deficit. So,
But if we keep it for the next 2 years,
Yeah.
Then that would be the 3 years. and we
That'll
wouldn't
fall.
have to pay
right,
it.
They wouldn't have-
right.
We are still
You don't have to pay that penalty.
60 whatever thousand
A
a
year.
year for
Sure.
healthcare.
insurance. Well, possibly. Is that going to hurt us? Because just say Steve doesn't take it. Jeff's
Yeah.
taking it, but Steve doesn't take it. So now it's only 2 people on there.
Yeah, that's okay.
So that's not going to hurt us. That's not
No.
going to make our premiums go up or anything like
No,
that.
no, no, no.
Just saying. I mean,
your rate.
if he
Good
takes it, it's
question.
fine.
Your rates are these rates until, depending on which option you choose,
I gotcha.
until January 1st,
Now, is
2017.
that rate the same whether if Steve's on it or not?
Well, it depends. It depends on how he's covered.
okay, here, let me explain to you.
Yeah.
I'm retired from the city of Heath.
Okay.
I'm under PRS
Gotcha.
healthcare. Whatever decision's made, I'm not necessarily involved in
Sure.
it today. If they decide they don't want to take health insurance, then I still have health insurance, basically, is what I'm trying to interpret
Yeah.
to you. In the event that the 2 of them take it and I don't, does that decrease their numbers?
I mean, it would decrease your total, yeah.
By taking that one person away
Right.
would be the whatever.
Right.
a
Because
third
you
of it.
figured it with 3 trustees, right?
Exactly,
Right.
yeah.
Right.
We have one employee and spouse, and we have 2 families on the insurance now. So depending on, if you came on by yourself, employee only, your rate would be one of these rates, employee only rate.
No, well, I'm just saying.
Yeah.
Basically, I am covered health insurance wise. And I have to pay the rates either way. It
Right,
comes right
right.
out of the PRS account.
Sure.
So, healthcare in my particular instance isn't important. When someone else is in this seat,
Sure.
do they
It'd be a
have
different
the
story.
ability to come back on track
I mean, yeah, if you guys said, yeah, we're offering insurance to elected officials, of course,
But see,
absolutely.
here's where we run into a problem, is we have to decide what we want to do by first of the year.
Before the first of the year.
It's December
By the
1st,
end of-
15th, isn't it?
No,
Isn't that-
by
By
the
Jan-
end of
Isn't it like the,
December 31st.
21?
December 31st.
Right.
We have to have a
Just
decision.
say before Steve actually takes office.
Gotcha.
Because January 1, if this board offers insurance to him, we have to offer it for 4 years. We can't offer it to him for 3
Right.
months and then say, we're going to do away
Right,
with it.
right, because it'd be an interim change.
We can't do that.
Yeah.
Right.
Which is the same thing with these two guys. If we decide not to offer it to this new person, we still have to offer it to these two until
Right.
the end of their term.
We don't have to take it.
But they can opt out. They can
Right,
say,
right.
we don't
Right.
want it. So,
Right, so I mean, we're kind of in a time crunch here. you know,
Totally.
to do this, but-
And you know what, we are too, we need to know which option you're doing by the end of November.
Right.
So,
we plan to make a decision. I
We'll discuss
plan
it.
to make a
Yeah,
decision at the
right,
November
right.
meeting.
perfect,
So-
perfect.
I don't know. I don't know. I'm just awed at how much it is every
Well,
year.
then the next thing, in 2 years, when you guys drop off, what if the new people want to be involved in it then?
But see, it depends who gets back in, and just say
Don't you have to have coverage in force in order to keep
no.
juggling people
Well-
in and out of it?
With OPEC HC, yeah, you'd have to have a plan in place, but yeah, the township would have to say,
If we decided to do away with it January 1, it's for you to
And that's okay.
right, then
yeah.
these two positions will be done away with January 1, but you had to offer it for us for the next year because it was offered when we got in.
I understand
so
that.
then the next term,
Then
they're
it'd
not,
be done.
they're not eligible for it,
Right, so
right?
then whoever got in that term,
If we pass
Yeah.
a resolution
Right.
saying,
Yeah.
if they decide
Exactly.
to pass
Then
a
it would be
resolution
We
saying.
wouldn't get,
And then the township would no
never
longer
have insurance.
offer
Insurance to
healthcare
anyone.
to
Right.
anybody.
I
any
guess
of the
that's kind of what I'm asking.
Yeah.
If
So this
they
is a
continue
decision.
coverage, let's say they continue coverage. If they continue coverage,
Mm-hmm.
and let's say whatever unfortunate circumstances happen, there's new people at the table. Because they continued coverage, can that coverage be offered to the
No.
new people
No, because-
coming in?
because
That's
we would have
what I was
to do
trying
away
to
with it.
find
If we did
out.
away with it for you guys, we'd also have to stair step and do away with us. Our
Okay,
position is in
that's
2
what I'm
years.
trying, is there a way
Right.
to reinstate it somewhere down the
If this
road?
board sat here and a whole said, we're gonna start offering insurance, because you had asked, I said, well, then there would never be insurance.
yeah,
Yeah, and once it's
Right, the board
done
could
away with.
decide,
At any
sure.
time, they could,
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
know? Yeah.
Yeah.
But
It's
it
not
would-
ironclad.
But they could be
Yes.
in effect until.
Yeah.
If you disband the plan
Yeah,
and don't offer any, at some point in the future, regardless where it is, can they renegotiate another contract?
Sure.
And then does that give them some kind of
It would
penalties
probably-
to put it back in place?
it would
No.
probably just take the two elected at first,
Yes,
and then.
yes, it would stair step back in.
It's
Yeah, exactly. It has to be at the
step
beginning of
back
a
in.
term.
Okay.
Yeah, you can't do it in the middle of a term.
Okay, I understand that, but that's the kind of questions
Yeah.
that at some point in time,
Sure.
someone may need
Well,
insurance.
absolutely.
Right.
Well, absolutely.
And can they reinstate it if it's because of whatever circumstances it wasn't offered anymore?
yeah,
At some point, can they make a decision to renegotiate a contract somewhere else?
yep,
Because I don't want to say that in 20 years,
Sure.
somebody might need it, you know?
sure.
So, you know, you showed us all these rates. you
Yeah.
know, all- Is there anything that's like kind of off the chart, like, hey, if you make your deductible super high and all this, to cover like just
Really?
like a crazy
You know what I
casualty incident, you know what I mean?
okay. I could ask. We haven't been veering far off of these at all, though.
Sure, sure.
But I can ask. It doesn't hurt to ask.
Sure.
Like they can just tell me no. But what I would say is, you know, this option is more expensive in 2016, but you end up making up for it in 2017. It's less than any of the other options. This yellow option.
Yeah.
And I say maybe you consider getting rid of the funding plan. That is $18,000 worth of exposure that you guys have today. So we could get rid of that exposure altogether. This $18,000.
Explain that.
So we
You got
would,
18,000 in the bank, is
Right.
what she's saying.
you know what? Go back to the first page. Sorry, I'm hopping around all over the place here, guys. Go back
how
to
you
this
get your
first page.
That's how you get your number.
The first page. Everything that's yellow, you can send us a receipt or explanation of benefits for, and the
Sure.
township will pay it. Get rid of it. Don't do that.
And that'll save us how much a year?
You technically could, worst case scenario, if everybody used their deductible, $18,000.
So if we did away with this, that's going to save
That
us.
$18,000
Goes
exposure goes away. And we would write you a check for the $3,000 or ever how much is in your account.
So we'll get that
back to you.
3,000 back.
Yep.
Okay, but then how much is going to come off the actual premium?
It doesn't have to do with the
Nothing.
premiums.
Nothing.
See, look at this
The
page.
premium will stay the same.
Look at this page. This shows worst case scenario. If everybody used that $6,000 amount, it would be $18,000 bucks.
Sure.
So right now, if you guys submitted a bunch of receipts, you know, we're going to fund everything
Up to.
up to
18
$6,000 per person.
Right.
yeah.
So up to $18,000. I think that's a really good way to get rid of that exposure and not have that hanging out anymore. Say we're not going to offer that funding plan. And then all you end up having this benefit plan. You have a $3,000 deductible, 100% with your office visit copays. You just basically have these benefits.
Sure.
This
But
goes away.
it just doesn't really reduce our rate.
But it doesn't reduce your rates. But, I mean, getting rid of that exposure is going to be, I think, a big deal too, because unless, of course, you guys just don't use it again. I mean, it's not like it's going to save you any money at the end of the day. But if you're not using it, I think it makes sense to get rid of it. Because you're paying, I can't remember if it's $7 a month per person. You're paying
Seven.
for that.
Yeah,
So you can get rid of that.
Yeah, that would-
be the first step.
be a little bit of savings because we pay $21 a month for the administration
Right.
of that, which
Right.
we
I mean, I'm
don't
looking
use.
for a way to save thousands of dollars a year.
Yeah,
You know, that's what I want to say.
not 21 a month.
No.
Right. Well, don't turn in your receipts,
Yeah.
you know?
Right. I mean, I'll be honest with you. I haven't. I've never.
Yeah.
haven't.
Yeah. Oh gosh, yeah. Nobody has. You guys have used
Right.
zero out of the account.
Yeah,
And I called the office and I said, hey, how's this work? You can go
Right.
back here. I called the box office. I said, hey, send me something for everything in the last year. They
Yeah.
sent me something. I still too lazy to turn it in. You know, whatever. Just didn't do it.
So let me ask and see if there's a way that we can reduce the benefits more. But really, I mean, if you guys let's see this option. If you reduce to option 3, increase your deductible to $9,000 per family or $4,500 per single. I mean, that already is a pretty high deductible. I don't know, even if we increase it to $5,000, we're not going to save a ton of money.
Right.
You know, the way it is now, the $60 copay, I go to a chiropractor, I pay him $100 and get 4 visits, and that was cheaper than messing around with insurance.
Insurance, right.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, that's true with the chiropractor and with your pharmacy claims too.
So is Ohio Insurance?
Without insurance, just,
Right.
it don't make sense, that's,
It depends on the chiropractor's office. If you go in there and say, I'm just going to pay cash for it, it's a whole different story
Sure.
than them having to submit a claim for you and waiting for the insurance to come back and get a negotiated fee.
because it's a lot more work for them.
Yeah, it's more
a lot
work for
easier
them.
for them if you
And-
just come in and pay cash.
Chances are, whatever they've negotiated with Medical Mutual or with the network is going to be a lot less than what they're charging anyways. So it's easier for them to say, you know what, come 4 times and pay me $100 cash.
Is Ohio Insurance Services, are they privately owned?
Yeah, Ohio Insurance Services is the agency that we work for.
And it's privately owned by?
Frank Harmon is our owner.
Sure.
And then we actually, Ohio Insurance Services worked with the Ohio Public Entity Consortium. That's a nonprofit company that's been around since 2000. And they just do all the administration and stuff with the public entities that we work with.
I'm just curious. I'm just stuck on within 2 years we're going to raise it 22.5%. Possibly. I know you can pull that 10% out of the air,
Yeah.
you know, but it's going to go up. You know?
Yeah, probably.
You know, so say 20% 2 years. There's not much stuff that goes up 20% in 2 years.
Yeah.
You know.
Now remember, keep in mind, nobody likes to hear me say this, so I'm apologizing in advance. But keep in mind, last year when you guys joined the cooperative, there was no renewal. We skipped a renewal increase, and you got a 2.5% reduction. So you have been ahead. You haven't had a renewal since December 1st, 2013. So, and the rates actually went down.
Could they do it again?
Oh man, my job would be so much easier. I finally crawled out from under my desk this morning.
The magic number. Where did it come from? Oh, it went down.
I mean, nobody ever likes to see me, you guys. I'm serious. I'm always like, hey, your rates are going up, you know?
How much of a decrease have you seen, going around talking to these different agencies? People just saying, you know what, we can't afford it anymore, we're not going to do it.
Well, there have been some people saying we're going to have to seriously consider this in the next few years, not offering insurance.
Sure.
Now, I don't know of anybody that, is pulling out of the cooperative at this point. Off the top of my head, any of the groups that I work with, a lot of them are really looking at that 12.5% option because
It's a set cost.
well, it's just easy. You get rid of a big chunk of that increase by paying it in 1 year instead of spreading it out. So,
Yeah, that's the thing. It's a set cost.
yeah.
I'm done.
Yeah.
I'm done.
The life insurance is going down 10%. The dental's staying the same. That's not changing until 2017. So that's another thing we could look at. I mean, if you guys want to save money, we could do away with the dental plan.
It's $200 a month, $201, I think,
Just for the
for the township, for all three of you. And then the life is like $37.
Yep. I mean, we can do away with those.
You have those in here too?
Yep, I did. I included those. The last 2 pages.
Yeah, it's $37.80 for the life.
dental. Is this right? Am I looking at this right? $67.20 per employee, and
Yeah.
they'd have that times 3. $200. Is that right?
Yeah,
Is that what you said?
yeah.
That's pretty good, huh? And how much was the life insurance?
You don't even need a calculator over there.
A month for all three of you.
Yeah, the dental's $201.60 and the life's $37.80 a month.
So there really isn't any difference in those two life insurance
Yeah,
plans?
the life insurance is exactly the same. We're moving all of OPEC to the standard from the Hartford. So the benefits staying the same and everybody's getting about 10% off of the flat life fee, not the AD&D. Accidental death and dismemberment's 3 cents per thousand, and that's not changing, so it's close to 10%.
Obviously, I'm not involved in this
Yeah.
decision, but it affects somewhere down the road. And that's basically my position as
Yeah.
far as what I'm looking at on today. If they jump out somewhere along the line, can they jump back in somewhere?
Alright. Is that it? Is that all you have?
That's all I got.
No other ways that you could think of that we could save money on anything?
I would say look at the dental and the life,
Yeah.
get rid of the funding account.
But that doesn't really reduce your rates,
Right. So.
except for the $21.
Unless you did
And we'll
this
get that
option
3,000
3.
back.
Yeah.
Right, you get that 3,000
We'll
back.
want to pay that, so.
You could do option 3, increase your deductible to $4,500 and $9,000 for family. This option 3 here. It's the second to last one, or the
Right here, do that.
What she's saying is pay this up front,
Right.
and that's done for the next 2 years, isn't that right? Didn't that and cover the next 2-year period till 7?
it covers your 2015 portion of the deficit.
Yeah.
So 2016, yeah, you can pay it in a lump sum, you can pay it monthly, whatever. But that goes away 2017,
Yeah.
January 1st, 2017.
That's when you actually see the next increase.
Right.
Correct.
That'll be the renewal. Yep.
That covers you up till 2017, which is the 2 years that
In
you guys are in there.
like in your office, do you deal with any other providers besides?
Besides OPEC HC?
Yeah.
Yeah. Mhm.
Okay.
We work with all the major carriers.
Okay. Are most of them doing an increase like that?
Well, it depends. The average with healthcare reform is about 15%.
Okay.
So now if we would have looked at whatever your renewal increase would have been last year, plus a 15% this year, I mean, we'd be pretty close to what we're looking at now anyways.
So you think most of them are actually going up that much? That's what I'm asking. I mean,
Yeah, I mean, oh, yeah. Maybe not all at once, but if we were to look over a
Depending
2-year
how
time.
many is in a group.
Sure, sure.
It's kind of like the Obamacare, you got a crowd of people in
Right.
each different entity,
sure.
and this is the big entity that it supposedly can absorb the cost.
Obamacare's supposed to be cheaper, isn't it?
It's supposed to be, I'm sorry, but I'm sorry, but realistically speaking,
It is called the Affordable Care Act, right? Yeah.
maybe that'll change somewhere in the future.
See, that's what don't make sense to me if you can't afford insurance. And if you got to pay $125 or $150 a month.
I totally
Plus,
understand.
still pay the same amount when you go to the doctor. So where are you gaining anything?
I know.
I
There's no
totally
free lunch.
understand.
Somebody's paying for it. I mean,
Nobody knows better than me, Danny. You know where I've been through this trek for the last 25 years.
Yeah, you know what I mean?
I totally understand.
You don't gain nothing. You have a hard enough time coming to the doctor, not alone paying this extra money every month for Obamacare. It don't make sense.
yeah.
I don't know.
All right.
Can you guys think of any other questions for me?
The finality.
Well, they
was
knock
the
off
biggest thing I
20%
had.
if it was paid one time.
I'm sorry, what'd you say? Say it again.
Would they knock off 20% if it was just paid by the year?
No.
I tried.
There's no discount.
Wait a minute, what this number over here was about if we pay that up front?
You can pay that up front,
Yeah, we
but
pay-
it's not. It actually comes out to $2,000 per person that was on the insurance per year. So it'd be $6,000. So technically, it should be. What is it? It would be like, I don't know, $2,016. So you're saving maybe $16 if you pay it up front. But other than that,
Man, that's a joke.
Wow.
yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you. If you think of
Obviously, our
anything-
budgets aren't.
I hear you. The budgets aren't going up. The health insurance costs are. I know. Everything costs more.
What's the health insurance
The
going to
budget's
do
up.
when people can't afford to pay it anymore?
Yeah. I mean, I know.
It's not, you know.
So when you do your taxes, like at the end of the year, you do taxes, and they ask if you had health insurance coverage. You
Yes.
Just say you didn't have it. What's the penalty? I know there's a penalty, but what are they charging?
The penalty.
It's pretty steep this year, isn't it?
Well, for 2015, the penalty was so crazy. It wasn't even. It was like $395 or something,
Okay.
or 2% of your annual income. So, obviously, buying insurance is a whole lot more than that
Right.
a year.
Right.
But it has increased. I don't know the number off the top of my head. I want to say maybe it's closer to $700.
Still better off just not even having it.
Yeah,
Yeah, well,
better off paying the penalty.
It just keeps stepping up though,
Right,
more and
right,
more as the
right.
years,
Right.
as the years compound, so does
See,
it.
as the years compound, you keep making less and less and
Yeah,
less.
it's true. It's true. You're right.
All right.
Thank you guys.
No, we
If you think
appreciate
of
it.
anything else, call me or email me or just let me know
Okay.
if I can help.
So if we're not turning in those receipts, we can just go ahead and ask for that 3,000 back, right?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Just gonna do that. Just
Yeah,
gonna do
it-
that.
It'd
there's-
be- If it's
No penalty,
$3,000
nothing
there,
like that.
we'd be better off for Jenny to save that, and when a meeting comes, just hand it to her.
What's that?
Just makes it more work for
Jenny's not going to do
her. Okay, all right.
But good idea.
it. Yeah. Yeah, sure.
Here's some receipts, Jenny.
I do have groups that do that, believe it or not. Thank you guys.
No,
Thank you
So
very
nice
much.
to meet
Nice
you.
meeting you.
Nice
Thank you.
seeing you. Thanks, guys.
take the time.
Anytime.
Oh, well.
You better save this and give this to
Are we adjourning?
Yeah, I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Oh.